His divine grace, Sri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Prem se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Vrindavan Chandra ki jai, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai, Vishwaguru Sri Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Gaur. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9. Canto 2, Chapter 9. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 9, answers by citing the Lord's version, verse number 37. Etat matam samadhishtha. Etat matam samadhishtha. Etat matam samadhishtha. Paramena Samadhina. Paramena Samadhina. Paramena Samadhina. Bhava Kalpa Vigalpeshu. Bhava Kalpa Vigalpeshu. Bhava Kalpa Vigalpeshu. Na Vimukhyati Karhiti. Na vimukhyati karhiti. Na vimukhyati karhiti. Etan matam samadhishtha. Paramena samadhina. Bhavan kalpa vikalpeshu. Na vimukhyati karhiti. Etan matam samadhishtha. Paramena samadhina. Bhava kalpa vikalpeshu. Na vimukhyati karhiti.
Etan matam samadhishtha.
Etan matam samadhishtha.
Paramena samadhina.
Paramena samadhina.
Bhavan kalpa vikalpeshu.
Bhavan kalpa vikalpeshu.
Na vimukhyati karhiche.
Na vimukhyati karhiche.
Etan matam samadhishtha.
Etan matam samadhishtha.
Paramena samadhina.
Paramena samadhina. Bhavan kalpa vikalpeshu. Na vimukhyati karhiche. Etan matam samadhishtha. Paramena samadhina. Bhavan kalpa vikalpeshu. Na vimukhyati karhiche.
Etat, this matam, the conclusion, samadhishtha, remain fixed, paramena, by the Supreme, samadhina, concentration of the mind, bhavan, yourself, kalpa, intermediate devastation, vikalpeshu, in the final devastation, na vimukhyati, will never bewilder, karhiche, anything like complacence. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. O Brahma, just follow this conclusion by fixed concentration of mind, and no pride will disturb you, neither in the partial nor in the final devastation. Kindly repeat. O Brahma, just follow this conclusion by fixed concentration of mind, and no pride will disturb you, neither in the partial nor in the final devastation. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. This is a long purport, 3 pages, so please bear. As in the Bhagavad Gita, 10th chapter, the personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, has summarized the whole 4 verses, namely Aham Sarvasya Prabhavaha, etc. So, the complete Srimad Bhagavatam has also been summarized in 4 verses as Aham Evasam Evagre, etc. Thus, the secret purpose of the most important Bhagavatite conclusion has been explained by the original speaker of the Srimad Bhagavatam, who was also the original speaker of the Bhagavad Gita, the personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna. There are many grammarians and non-devotee material wranglers who have tried to present false interpretations of these 4 verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam. But the Lord himself advised Brahmaji not to be deviated from the fixed conclusion the Lord had taught him. The Lord was the teacher of the nucleus of Srimad Bhagavatam in 4 verses, and Brahma was the receiver of the knowledge. Misinterpretation of the word Aham by the word jugglery of the impersonalist should not disturb the mind of the strict followers of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is the text of the personality of Godhead and his unalloyed devotees, who are also known as the Bhagavatas, and any outsider should have no access to this confidential literature of devotional service. But unfortunately, the impersonalist, who has no relation to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, sometimes tries to interpret Srimad Bhagavatam by his poor fund of knowledge in grammar and dry speculation. Therefore, the Lord wants Brahma, and through Brahma, all future devotees of the Lord in the disciplic succession of Brahma, that one should never be misled by the conclusion of the so-called grammarians or by other men with a poor fund of knowledge, but must always fix the mind properly via the Parampara system. No one should try to give a new interpretation by dint of mundane knowledge. And the first step, therefore, in pursuance of the system of knowledge received by Brahma, is to approach a bona fide Guru who is the representative of the Lord following the Parampara system. No one should try to squeeze out his own meaning by imperfect mundane knowledge. The Guru, or the bona fide spiritual master, is competent to teach the disciple in the right path with reference to the context of all authentic Vedic literature. He does not attempt to juggle words to bewilder the student. The bona fide spiritual master, by his personal activities, teaches the disciple the principles of devotional service. Without personal service, one would go on speculating like the impersonalists and dry speculators life after life and would be unable to reach the final conclusion. By following the instructions of the bona fide spiritual master, in conjunction with the principles of revealed scriptures, the student will rise to the plane of complete knowledge, which will be exhibited by development of detachment from the world of sense gratification. The mundane wranglers are surprised that one can detach himself from the world of sense gratification, and thus any attempt to be fixed in God realization appears to them to be mysticism. This detachment from the sensory world is called the Brahma Bhuta stage of realization, the preliminary stage of transcendental devotional life, Parabhakti. The Brahma Bhuta stage of life is also known as the Atma Rama stage, in which one is fully self-satisfied and does not hanker for the world of sense enjoyment. This stage of full satisfaction is the proper situation for understanding the transcendental knowledge of the personality of God. The Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, Verse 20 affirms this. Evam prasanna manaso bhagavat bhakti yogataha bhagavat tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jnayate. Thus, in the completely satisfied stage of life, exhibited by full detachment from the world of sense enjoyment, as a result of performing devotional service, one can understand the science of God in the liberated stage. In this stage of full satisfaction and detachment from the sensory world, one can know the mystery of the science of God with all its confidential intricacies and not by grammar or academic speculations. Because Brahma qualified himself for such a reception, the Lord was pleased to disclose the purpose of Srimad Bhagavatam. This direct instruction by the Lord to any devotee who is detached from the world of sense gratification is possible. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, verse 10, Tesham satatayuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayantite. Unto the devotees who are constantly engaged in the Lord's transcendental loving service, priti purvakam. Sorry. The Lord, out of his causeless mercy upon the devotee, gives direct instructions so that the devotee may make accurate progress on the path returning home back to God. One should not therefore try to understand these 4 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam by mental speculation. Rather, by direct perception of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one is able to know all about his abode, Vaikuntha, as was seen and experienced by Brahmaji. Such Vaikuntha realization is possible by any devotee of the Lord situated in the transcendental position as a result of devotional service. In the Gopala Tapani Upanishad, Shruti, it is said, Gopavesho me Purusha Purastad Abir Babhuva. The Lord appeared before Brahma as a cowboy, that is, as the original personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, Govinda, who is later described by Brahmaji in his Brahma Samhita, chapter 5, verse 29. Chintamani prakarasat masukalpa vriksha laksha prateshu suradhira vipadayantam lakshmi sahasrasata sambrama sevyamanam govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Brahmaji desires to worship the original personality of God, Lord Sri Krishna, who resides in the topmost Vaikuntha planet known as Goloka Vrindavan, where he is in the habit of keeping Suradhi cows as a cowboy, and where he is served by hundreds and thousands of goddesses of fortune, the gopis, with love and respect. Therefore, Lord Sri Krishna is the original form of the Supreme Lord, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. This is also clear from this instruction. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is Lord Krishna, and not directly Narayana or the Purusha avatars, which are subsequent manifestations. Therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam means consciousness of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, and Srimad Bhagavatam is the sound representation of the Lord as much as the Bhagavad Gita is. Thus, the conclusion is that Srimad Bhagavatam is the science of the Lord, in which the Lord and his abode are perfectly realized. Thus, Om Ajnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Nithinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoti vachalam Pangum langhayate girim Yat kripa tamam mande Shri Gurum Dina Taranam. For the scientists who have been studying this universe since centuries together, this manifested world has always enamored them. They have wanted to understand what is at the very root of this material manifestation. So the scientists study different phenomena, different aspects of this material manifestation, and they have deduced the fundamental components of this material manifestation. One of them is mass, another is energy, then there is light, so on and so forth. And the scientists have been trying to figure out what is the interrelationship between all of these. So in the beginning of the 18th century, around 1780, Isaac Newton, he tried to understand what is the interrelationship between matter and light. So he said the matter, the particle of matter and particle of light are interchangeable, because those days they used to think light is also made up of particles. Later on, of course, the scientists said no, light is not made of particles, it is a wave. And then later they said light behaves under certain circumstances like a wave, certain circumstances like a particle, and so on. Their understanding has been evolving as they are studying material energy more and more. And then over the 18th century, 19th century, 20th century, over several centuries, different scientists came up with different explanations for the interrelationship between matter and energy, matter and light. Finally, in the 20th century, it was Albert Einstein, who gave a specific, concrete explanation or indication symbolizing the interrelationship or interchangeability between matter and energy. So he gave the famous equation E is equal to mc squared. Everybody knows that, right? The moment you say Albert Einstein, everybody knows E is equal to mc squared. Simple, very simple formula. What this formula actually explains is the equivalence of mass and energy. So, C is the velocity of light, m is the mass, E is energy. So c square, the velocity of light itself, is very huge. So whenever mass is converted into energy, like for example there is some chemical process or there is nuclear fission, some reaction like that, where there is loss of mass, that mass gets converted into energy according to the formula, and that energy that is released from a certain mass will be proportional to the square of the velocity of light. In other words, what it means is a very small quantity of mass possesses very huge amount of energy. So this is the whole understanding which is expressed in the form of a simple equation E is equal to mc square. So you see, over several centuries, scientists have contemplated, deliberated, theorized, studied, and finally, after 2 centuries almost, they came to concurrence somewhat, to some extent, that yes, energy and mass are equivalent, and that the conversion of energy, of mass to energy, is proportional to the square of the velocity of light. So you see, we all know E is equal to mc square. The moment we say Albert Einstein, E is equal to mc square, everybody knows, right? It's a very common, any student of science will easily tell you. But what has gone on behind arriving at that formula, E is equal to mc square? Of course, we may not be aware, but we will all know it will not be some simple, suddenly one night, Albert Einstein had a dream, woke up and said E is equal to mc square. Oh yeah, it's not like that, right? It would have taken years of contemplation, deliberation, hard work, research. So many things would have gone on behind this. So much study, so much amount of brilliant brains putting their analysis, and finally coming to that what is, how to express the equivalence of mass and energy in the form of a simple equation. Isn't it? We all can understand this. So actually, if you see, exactly in the same way that the scientists have arrived at an equation to describe the equivalence of mass and energy, after years of study and volumes of research, I am sure if you want to go study how we arrive at E is equal to mc square, you will have volumes and volumes of literature on it. Isn't it? It's an understandable thing. It's not a simple thing. So it must have taken so much amount of research, analysis, study, scientific conclusion to be able to come to all this, to come to this one. But the result is expressed in a very simple single formula. E is equal to mc squared. That's our 3 letters, that's our 4 letters. So, but then behind it, there is so much vast amount of research and knowledge which is sitting there. But all that vast research, knowledge, etc. that is there, common man doesn't need to know all that. He knows he is equal to mc squared, he can take full advantage of it, and he can make an atomic bomb, he can make atomic fission, he can make nuclear energy out of that. So many things we can do. We can harness that, isn't it? This is how material nature works. So exactly in the same way, for the common man to understand what is the essence of the Vedic scriptures, one need not study the entire Vedas. The entire Vedic scriptures are very vast. Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, Atharva Veda, all these 4 put together itself, it will be lakhs of verses. Then there are the 18 Puranas. Out of it, the smallest Purana is the Srimad Bhagavatam, which has 18,000 verses. 18,000 verses is the smallest Purana. And then Ramayana, 23,000 verses. Then Mahabharata, 1 lakh verses. So if you have to study all these Puranas, Itihasas, then all the Vedas, then Upanishads, then 454 or 34, whatever number of Brahma Sutras, Vedanta Sutras. And to study all this, you should know the language, Sanskrit language. To learn Sanskrit language, grammar, it will take you 12 years. So where will you study all the Vedic scriptures? And after studying all that, you have to understand what is the essence, what are the Vedas speaking. So actually for the common man, it is practically impossible to study the Vedas and understand their conclusion. So nobody in the modern day world, especially common people, don't have time at all to even learn Sanskrit, forget about learning the entire Vedas. In the olden times, Sanskrit used to be a very common language, so it was not an issue. But then the sages, rishis and munis would thoroughly dedicate their life for studying the Vedic scriptures, and they would know the essence. And there were many sages and rishis. Today there are no sages, there are no rishis, nobody knows Sanskrit. And so therefore, if you go and ask a common man, what is Sanatana Dharma? He will have no answer. He will tell, no, it is a way of life. It is a culture. Some vague answer he will give. Because he also does not know what is Sanatana Dharma all about. What is the essence of Sanatana Dharma? Can anybody say no? No, it is some way of life. It is some culture. It is some belief. It is some faith. All vague answers. No concrete reply will come. Because nobody knows what is the essence of the Vedic scriptures. So how do we understand the essence of the Vedic scriptures? To understand the essence of the Vedic scriptures, it is not necessary for the common world man to to study the entire Vedas. Like for a common person, it is not necessary to harness mass and extract energy out of that. For that, he doesn't have to know all the theory and all that study that has gone on behind the the formula E is equal to MC square. If he knows E is equal to MC square, all purpose is served. So similarly, if you want to know the entire Vedic scriptures, then the essence of the entire Vedic scriptures is given in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita and the Bhagavatam. So many lakhs of verses we need not study. We need to study only Bhagavad Gita, 700 verses, Bhagavatam, about 14,000 verses are there out of the 18,000 verses. That much you have to study. So somebody may say, no, I don't have even that much time. I need, because today is the world of all, everything instant. In my childhood, I used to see my mother every day in the evening before going to bed, she will boil some coffee, there will be one decoction container, she will pour into it, and then next day it would all have got strained into the bottom, this one, then that will be taken and you will make coffee out of that. Today, instant coffee. People are not even ready to, make that instant coffee also at home. Go to Zomato, Swiggy, order, drink. You don't even need a kitchen at home. So everything is instant. Everybody wants instant. Instant dosa, instant idli mix and this and that and all that. Olden days we used to sit there used to be a stone mortar, and we would have to soak the urad dal and the rice overnight, and next day sit and grind it. And then one more night you have to leave it to ferment. Then next day we can make dosa and idli. I remember in my childhood I would go and tell my grandmother, I want to eat dosa. She will tell, come, sit. She will do all the grinding, do all the hard work. I would sit and keep grinding. Manually you have to do. Even the motorized grinding machine was not there. Afterwards the grinding, the motorized grinding machine came. So manually we have to do. Then later on, of course, the motorized grinding machine came. Dal do, switch it on and forget it. Afterwards, after some time, come and see, it will be ready. Now even that is not there. You go to the mall, there will be one idli batter, one packet, whatever you want, you buy, you go and make. Now even that is going out. Idli, Zomato, Swiggy, order karo, khao idli, whatever you want. So everything people want, right? So even Bhagavad Gita, 700 verses, who is going to sit and read? It's going to take a lot of time. For me, when I first time I read the Bhagavad Gita, full cover to cover, Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, it took me almost 4 to 6 months. Who has all that much time? Instant, if there is something, you let me know. So yes, for that also there is a solution. There is the Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita and Chatushloki Bhagavatam. That is the essence of the essence. Bhagavatam itself is the essence. Nigama kalpataror galitam phalam sukamukad amrita drava samyutam pibata bhagavatam rasamagayam muhurago rasika bhuvi bhavuka. The Srimad Bhagavatam says that the Srimad Bhagavatam is the ripened fruit of the desire tree of the Vedas. The Vedas, if they are compared to a tree with a lot of branches, twigs, leaves, flowers, etc., the ripened fruit of the tree is the essence of the tree, isn't it? You may water a tree, you may take care of a tree, you nurture it and ensure that it is protected and all that. Ultimately, one day to taste the fruit. So, the essence of the tree is its fruit. So, the entire Vedas, their essence is what? The essence of the entire Vedas is the ripened fruit of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And that Srimad Bhagavatam, the essence of that Srimad Bhagavatam is the Chatushloki Bhagavatam, the 4 verses spoken by Krishna to Brahma, which is preceding to today's verse. The verses, 4 verses previous to today's verse, what we are discussing, is called the Chatushloki Bhagavatam. The 4 verses which give the essence of the Bhagavatam. And similarly, the Bhagavad Gita also has an essence, which is the Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita, which is verses 8 to 11 of the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, beginning with Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante ma buddha bhava samandita. So the essence of the Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam are the essence of the Vedas. And the essence of the Bhagavad Gita, if you see, actually contains 18 chapters. So the first 6 and the last 6 chapters are compared to the cover of the book. The actual contents of the book, the actual contents of the Bhagavad Gita is in the middle 6 chapters. Chapter 7 through 12. So these 6 chapters constitute the real content of the Bhagavad Gita. And within that, in the 10th chapter, the 10th chapter is for the essence of those 6 chapters. And in that 10th chapter, the 4 verses, 8 to 11, are the further essence of that 10th chapter. So, the 8th verse begins by Krishna saying that Krishna is the source of everything. Everything is emanating from Him. Everything means everything, including the material world, the spiritual world, all living entities, all the avatars, all the incarnations, Narayana Himself. Everything is coming from Krishna. Aham sarvasya prabhu mattah sarvam pravartate. Everything is emanating from Krishna. Krishna is the ultimate source. So why Krishna is saying? Because the Vedic scriptures are actually meant to point out, meant to take us on the journey of discovering who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the fountainhead of all incarnations, the source of the material and spiritual worlds, the creator, the original person from whom we all have come forth, all the living entities, the source of all the living entities. Who is that? To discover what is the purpose of the entire Vedas. Vedaisya sarvai rameva Veda, Krishna says. So, who is that Supreme Personality of Godhead who is to be searched out from the pages of the Vedas, the Upanishads, the Vedanta Sutras? Krishna is saying it is Him. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattah sarvam pravartate iti matva vajante ma buddha bhava samandita. And Krishna says, who can know Him? The entire Vedic scriptures, if everybody studies, not everybody will come to that conclusion. There are many big scholars. There are many big rishis. There are big sages. There are big yogis. So they are all sitting and trying to figure out who is that Supreme Personality of Godhead, that Supreme Absolute Truth. Who is that? They are all trying to figure out. But they are all not able to do it. Everyone is coming to a different conclusion. So why? Because Krishna says to know that Krishna is the source of everything. That the essence of all the scriptures is to understand Krishna. Krishna is the fountainhead of all emanations. Everything that exists comes from Krishna. To understand that, what is required? Iti matva vajante ma buddha bhava samanvitaha. It is possible only for bhava samanvitaha, those who are engaged in devotional service with love and affection to Krishna. Without engaging in bhakti yoga to Krishna, it is not possible to know from the pages of the Vedas, by scholarly study, by engaging in tapasyas, austerities, by engaging in cultivation of Ashtanga Yoga, by all these processes, it is not possible to know the Supreme Absolute Truth. The only process by which you can understand the Supreme Absolute Truth, the essence of the Vedic scriptures, is rendering devotional service to Krishna. And that is why you will see the next 3 verses, which are the essence of the Bhagavad Gita, are all about devotees and devotional service. In the 9th verse, Krishna tamat prana bodhayanta parasparam kathayitam nityam tushyanti charanti. What is that? The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me, their lives are surrendered to me, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss, enlightening one another and conversing about me. And the next verse, 10th verse, Krishna says, Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhyogam tam yena mam upayantite. So Krishna says, to those who are constantly devoted and worship me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. And then the last verse of the Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Tesham evanukampartham aham ajnanajam tamaha nasayam yatma bhavasto jnanadipena bhasvata. Krishna says, out of compassion for them, I dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. So you see, the Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita, the essence of the Bhagavad Gita is what is it talking about? It is not talking about material nature, it is not talking about how to overcome material nature, how to attain moksha, mukti, supreme Brahman, nothing. It is talking only of pure devotional service. And first two lines of the 8th verse, Krishna spoke about himself, that he is the source of everything. In 2 lines he finished the essence. He said who he is. He is the source of everything. Finished, over. What more do you need? Similarly, in the Chatushloki Bhagavatam also Krishna said the same thing. Ahmeva sameva agre. I was the only person who was existing at the beginning before this creation happened. That means he is the supreme absolute truth. He is the supreme personality of God. There is nothing beyond him. But then people still miss the point. They are not able to understand. There are so many people who will write on the Bhagavad Gita, who will comment on the Bhagavad Gita, who will give Vedanta classes, all this. But how many of them teach that Krishna is the supreme personality of God? Not even one. The only person who teaches in this world that the essence of the Bhagavad Gita and the Bhagavatam and the Vedas is that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. He is the absolute truth. He is the source of everything. There is only one person who is teaching this. Who is that? That is His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Nobody else is teaching in the world. Why? Because Prabhupada is pointing out in today's purport that first step, therefore, in pursuance of the system of knowledge received by Brahma is to approach a bona fide Guru who is the representative of the Lord following the Parampara system. Unless we approach a bona fide Guru in the Parampara system, you cannot understand the essence of the Vedic scriptures. You may study the entire Vedas. You may by heart. You may be a big Sanskrit. You may be a great sadhu. You may have renounced the whole material world. Even after all these qualifications, if you have not come in touch with a bona fide spiritual master, Guru, who is the representative of the Lord following the Parampara system, you will not be able to understand neither the Vedic scriptures, nor their essence, nor the Bhagavad Gita, nor the Bhagavatam. Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is plainly telling, Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate. I am the source of everything, everything is everything from me. Still people cannot understand. When Prabhupada, in the introduction to the Bhagavad Gita, he says that one woman approached Prabhupada and asked him to recommend a good, authentic version of the Bhagavad Gita in the English language so that she can read and understand Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada says he realized there were more than 700 editions of Bhagavad Gita in English in the market, but not one of them was authentic. And so therefore, Prabhupada took the task of Bhagavad Gita and this in English so that we can all understand it. Now, therefore, we have to understand, without coming in touch with a bona fide Guru in the Parampara, it is not possible to understand the Vedic scriptures and their essence. Now, what is a bona fide? Who is a bona fide Guru? Prabhupada says, bona fide Guru is a Guru who is authorized by his predecessor, spiritual master, to act as a Guru. Only such a person is called a bona fide Guru. And his Guru must have been authorized by his Guru to become a Guru. Then only he is a bona fide Guru. Very simple definition. Bona fide Guru means he must have been ordered by his predecessor, spiritual master, to become Guru. Otherwise, no Guru. If anybody claims that we can automatically become Gurus, we have got no objection from a managerial body, and with that I become a Guru. No, sir. you are not bona fide. So you will not be able to understand the Vedic scriptures. You will not be able to understand the essence. So, and therefore, Prabhupada is saying in the purport, the Guru or the bona fide spiritual master is competent to teach the disciple in the right path with reference to the context of all authentic Vedic literature. You see, the context, the purpose of the Vedic scriptures are drawn and they are given to the disciple by the bona fide spiritual master. So Prabhupada has taken the essence of the Vedic scriptures and he has given his instruction to us. All the instructions Prabhupada has given us, whether it is chanting 16 rounds, whether it is following the 4 regulating principles, whether it is fasting on Ekadashi, whether it is avoiding whether it is fasting on Krishna Janmashtami and other such festivals, all these things Prabhupada has taken the essence from the scriptures and given us those instructions. Similarly, even the July 9th order also given by Prabhupada to implement a rhythmic system of initiations in ISKCON is also the result of taking out, extracting the essence of the Vedic scriptures and giving it to us by Srila Prabhupada. It cannot be otherwise. And so, Prabhupada is saying the bona fide spiritual master does not attempt to juggle words, bewilder the student. So Prabhupada has said, direct order, July 9th. What is the system of initiations what is the system to conduct initiations in ISKCON, particularly at that time when you are no longer with us? That was the question asked to Prabhupada. And Prabhupada immediately responded, I will recommend some of you to act as officiating Acharya, Ritvik. And Prabhupada did that on July 9th. This is that order. Now what will happen? Those who are not bona fide, what will they do? They will juggle words to bewilder their students. No, this is temporary, this is meant only for so and so time. It is against the Shastra, it is against the tradition. One hand, they will tell it is against Shastra and tradition, there is no precedence to it. On the other hand, they will say it is temporary. If you are saying there is no Shastric reference to it, and it is not as per Shastra, it is not as per tradition, then you can never, even temporarily also you cannot follow it, no. If something is not as per Shastra, will you say, because it is not as per Shastra, temporarily I can follow? What logic is this? If it is not as per Shastra, not as per tradition, even temporarily also you should not follow. Then how do you explain Prabhupada previous to 1977 implementing the Ritvik system in ISKCON? That they will not talk about it. They will say, no, it was temporary. But after Prabhupada's time, there is no Shastric reference. You provide Shastric reference to previous 377 for the Ritvik system. No. That can you provide? That is not required. Only after post 1977 we need a Shastric reference. Why? Why pick and choose? This is called word jugglery. Simply bewildering the students. And give it one terminology. Ritvikism is a doctrine. What doctrine? No doctrine. It is an order by Prabhupada. Simple. That's all. If Prabhupada says you have to chant 16 rounds, now if you call that 16 roundism doctrine, there is no doctrine in 16 rounds. Prabhupada's order 16 rounds you chant, that's all. Similarly, Prabhupada ordered follow the Ritvik system of initiation. You can follow. What is this big doctrine in that? There is no doctrine there. Then they will call it posthumous doctrine. One more terminology added. What is this posthumous? And in another place in the resolutions they will say Prabhupada is manifest even now in his murtis, in his instructions. One place you are saying posthumous, another place you are saying manifest, eternally manifest. Tell one thing, no, decide one thing and tell. You tell this way also, that way also. This is called word jugglery. This is called bewildering the students. And then they will say, Parampara means it is a succession of Diksha and Shiksha Gurus. This is called Parampara. It is a Guru Shishya Parampara. Sounds very, it appears to be very proper. Actually, if you search the entire Vedabase, Prabhupada has never used the term Guru Shishya Parampara. Not even once. Prabhupada always said Guru Parampara. Prabhupada said Acharya Parampara. Prabhupada said disciplic succession. Prabhupada never said Guru Shishya Parampara. All new terminologies are invented. And Parampara, because Prabhupada is talking here, the Guru or the bona fide spiritual master, he is what? He is the representative of the Lord following the Parampara system. What is the Parampara system? Parampara system is not a succession of Diksha and Shiksha Gurus. Prabhupada says very clearly, Parampara means the disciplic conclusion. Disciplic succession means disciplic conclusion. And then they say that the Parampara means Krishna himself has said, Evam Parampara Praptam, the second verse of the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna first said, Imam Vivasvate Yogam Proktavan Ahamapyayam Vivasvan Manave Praha Manurikshvakave Pravi Evam Parampara Praptam. See, this is Parampara. Krishna himself is telling. What is that? Krishna gave the knowledge to Vivasvan, Vivasvan gave it to Manu, Manu gave it to Ikshvaku. This is called Parampara, succession of Diksha Gurus. Diksha and Shiksha Gurus. But then Krishna in the second verse, Sakalene Yogo Nashta Parantapa. Krishna says that over a period of time, this knowledge has been lost. The Parampara has been lost. So the purport to that second verse of the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, one line Prabhupada says, how the knowledge was lost. Why did Krishna tell that the Parampara was broken? So, interestingly, Prabhupada does not say that when there was a lack of Diksha Gurus, the Parampara broke. Prabhupada does not say that in the purport. That was the right place to say that, no. Krishna is saying Parampara is broken because the Diksha Guru was not present. But no, Prabhupada says something else. Prabhupada says, I'll read that. Prabhupada says, as soon as the original purpose was scattered by the motives of the unscrupulous commentators, there arose the need to re-establish the disciplic succession. This Prabhupada saying in the purport to the same, Sakale Mahata Yogo Nashta Paratapa. How the Parampara was broken. When there was misinterpretation, when there was interpretation by unscrupulous commentators, then the disciplic succession was broken. And Prabhupada next says, 5,000 years ago it was detected by the Lord himself that the disciplic succession was broken, and therefore he declared that the purpose of the Gita appeared to be lost. Prabhupada is not saying that the Diksha Guru, there was no Diksha Guru, therefore the Parampara was lost. That's not what Prabhupada is saying. In another lecture, Prabhupada says, when Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita, big acharyas were there at that time, big gurus were there at that time, they were all giving Diksha. It was not that nobody was there to give Diksha when Krishna was there. When Krishna spoke this particular verse that the Parampara has been lost, so many rishis were there, Agastya Rishi, Pula Rishi, so many were there. Even Vyasadeva was there. Vyasadeva is the Acharya in the Sampradaya, in the Parampara. Even he was there. In his presence, Krishna is saying, Parampara is lost. So what is this? Physical presence of a Guru who is giving Diksha. Vyasadeva was giving Diksha. He was making disciples. In the presence of a physical Guru who was giving Diksha, who is an Acharya in the Parampara, Krishna is saying Parampara. You see? And then Prabhupada points out, Krishna took only 3 names in the Parampara. Vivasvan, Manu, Ikshvaku. Only 3 names he took. And Krishna spoke to Vivasvan then at the beginning of the creation. And so Prabhupada says, over billions of years since the beginning of creation, only 3 names are there. That means, until the Kurukshetra war, 5,000 years ago, Krishna quoted the 4th chapter, 2nd verse, Sakalene yogo nashtam parantapa. So until 5,000 years ago, until Krishna spoke that verse, Parampara was continuing. Just before Krishna spoke that verse, the Parampara was lost. So many millions of years, only 3 gurus. And Parampara is continuing. Parampara was not lost at that time. So physical absence of a guru does not constitute Parampara getting broken. Physical presence of a guru does not necessarily mean Parampara is continuing. So what is required is the original conclusion of the scripture should be maintained as it is. If there is no change in the understanding of the Paramparic conclusion, then the Parampara continues. And Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam purports, as long as they are available to every common man, the desired conclusion is available. Parampara continues. This is the reality. Moment we try to interpret and bring in motivated, unscrupulous comments, Parampara means the succession of Diksha and Shiksha Gurus. Where has Prabhupada stated this? Nowhere. Ritvik system is against Parampara. If you follow the Ritvik system, Parampara is broken. Parampara ends. These are all called word jugglery and motivated interpretations. If we do that, then Parampara gets broken. So therefore, we have to understand that we have to stick to the Parampara system. Sticking to the Parampara system means we have to follow the instructions of the spiritual master without motivated interpretations. Prabhupada gives an order that we have to follow the Ritvik system of initiation. We have to follow it. We cannot give motivated interpretation saying it is temporary, it is not as per Shastra, if Parampara gets broken. Without doing all that, we have to follow this instruction. Then Parampara continues. And so, that is why Krishna is telling Brahma, he is cautioning Brahma, Etan matam samadhishta paramena samadhina. Just follow this conclusion by fixed concentration of mind without interpretation. Meaning, don't try to interpret, don't try to give any motivated understanding to it, don't give any unscrupulous comments. Simply take the instructions directly. Direct instruction, direct meaning you take and follow it, then that is called Etan matam samadhishta paramena samadhina. By fixed concentration of the mind, just follow this conclusion. And if we do that, Bhavan kalpa vikalpeshu na vimuhyati karhijit. No pride will disturb us, neither in the partial nor in the final devastation. So if we want to remain fixed up in vairagya, in knowledge, without being bewildered at the time of death, at the time of partial devastation of this material universe, or at the final devastation of the material universe. If you don't want to be bewildered at any stage, then you have to follow the instructions of the Acharya without any deviation. So we have to follow the instructions of Prabhupada without any deviation. And if you do that, like Krishna is assuring Brahma, when death comes, we will not be bewildered. Ultimately, everything is tested at the time of death. No? Prabhupada quotes one saying that sadhan kar le, bhajan kar le, marte samay, something he says. Jaan le, marte samay, jaan le vai. Meaning that do all your sadhana, do all your tapasya, whatever you are doing, sadhana, tapasya, everything you are doing, that will be known at the time of death. So we can give big interpretations, we can bring in big shastric boards, we can give all kinds of shastric explanation for an unauthorized guru system, all that we can do. And we can intellectualize, we can give all kinds of interpretations, very scholarly papers we can write. But at the time of death, will all that help you? What will help us at the time of death is following the instructions of Prabhupada. If we have followed the instruction of Prabhupada, then at the time of death, we will not be bewildered, our mind will be fixed on Krishna and Prabhupada, and we will be able to go back to God. Otherwise, as Shankaracharya himself says, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Modamade, Samprapte Sannihite Kale, Nahi Rakshati Dukrinch Karani. We can do all this word jugglery and we can give different kinds of arguments, not to follow Prabhupada's July 9th order, but what will happen? Nahi Rakshati, Samprapte Sannihite Kale. When the time of death comes, none of these things will help us. If you have followed Prabhupada's instruction, that will help us. And that is why Krishna is telling, Kalpa Vikalpeshu Namuhyati Karhiche. No pride will disturb you, neither in the partial nor in the final realization. So, the essence of what Krishna is saying in today's verse is that we have to follow rigidly the Parampara system, which is to follow the instructions of the Guru, Acharya, and without any motivated interpretations, and direct instructions have to be followed sincerely and rigidly. That will save us at the time of death and deliver us to the lotus feet of Krishna. I'll stop here. If anybody has any question or comment, yes, please.
This Sri Sampradaya, is Ramanujacharya still considered Guru? I mean, they follow just like Nepali, that their representative will give Diksha and Guru will be Ramanuja, is that right?
I think there was a discussion with some Sri Vaishnava scholar about this. So when we asked them about Guru system and all that, he said, what kind of Guru are you referring to? Because they have, you see, every Parampara will have their understandings. We have to accept that. We will be aware of that. So in their system, they have a mantra Guru, somebody who gives mantra, there is a Diksha Guru. When they say Diksha Guru, it is not the kind of Diksha Guru we refer to. For them, Diksha Guru means you go and they put the stamp of the Vaishnava, this one, Tilak and all that, and give them some confidential mantra which they have to chant. That's called a Diksha Guru. So, when we spoke of Diksha Guru, Prabhupada being Diksha Guru and he having a rhythmic system, so he was asking, what do you mean by Diksha Guru? So we said Diksha Guru means the Guru who delivers us back to Godhead. So he said, as far as I recall, I think there is some YouTube also that video. So he said, the deliverer in Sri Sampradaya is still Ramanujacharya only. For giving the mantra, they may have one Guru. For Diksha, they may have a Guru. So these are all terminologies which different paramparas use differently. In our parampara, Diksha Guru means it is as per the definition given by Srila Jiva Goswami in the Shat Sankarma. Divyam Janam Yato Dadya Kuryam Papasya Sanshayam. That remove all the sinful reactions, reveal transcendental knowledge within the heart, take back to Godhead. This is a function of a Diksha, essential function of a Diksha. So that is a deliverer Guru. In their parampara, they have some other terminology, I don't know what they call. So that function is performed by Ramanujacharya only even today. So in that sense, if you see, okay, they have some system which is similar to this. However, we don't have to, go by other parampara. If you look at their conclusion, they will conclude that Narayana is supreme and Krishna is an incarnation of Narayana. So shall we go and follow that? We cannot follow that. They have their understanding. That is their parampara. We have to go by our paramparic understanding. That's the important thing. Okay? Yes, please.
We said that Diksha is a process.
Yes.
So, where this process actually starts? When a person formally initiated or a bhakta like us who just surrendered to Prabhupada and started following his instructions. So, when this process?
Prabhupada says the Diksha Vidhana, process of Diksha starts from the first time we hear Prabhupada. When we hear, meaning we hear submissively. Okay, Prabhupada is saying something, birth, death, disease, old age, these are the problems of people. Yes, what he is saying is true. Initiation has started. Diksha Vidhana has started. Because Diksha Vidhana means Divyam Jnana Yatvat Vidya Kurya Papasya Sankshain. Correct? Sorry. So, Papasya Sankshain, destruction of sinful activities, sinful reactions. What does that mean? It means two things. One is the accumulated sinful reactions over our millions of past lives. That is one thing which will get destroyed. Another thing is the propensity to perform sinful reactions also gets destroyed. This is called the Papasya Sankshain. When both these things are further destroyed, then only Papasya Sankshain has happened fully. You understand? Complete destruction of sinful reaction means accumulated sinful reactions has to be destroyed, and my propensity to perform sinful reactions also has to be destroyed. Because the propensity to perform sinful activities arises out of ignorance. Ignorance of one's true position, and that ignorance comes because of previous sinful reactions. So, Papasya Sankshain means both accumulated sinful reactions and one's propensity to perform sinful activities has to be destroyed. Once you start reading Prabhupada's books, you start chanting, slowly what happens? You start following the four relative principles. So you stop intoxication, stop meat eating, stop gambling, stop illicit sex. What is happening? Kurya Papasya Sankshain. Papasya Sankshain has started. Your propensity to perform those sinful reactions are going away. Otherwise, before coming in touch with Prabhupada, before reading Prabhupada's books, we might have been intoxicating, we might have been consuming alcohol, smoking, all these kind of things. We might have been meat eaters. Isn't it? But after hearing Prabhupada, what happens? The propensity to perform that things goes away. Papasya Sankshain has started now. Therefore, and also Divya Jnana is also happening. We understand I am not the body, I am spirit soul. This is Divya Jnana. Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is Divya Jnana. So the moment you start hearing from the spiritual master, Diksha has already started. In that whole process of Diksha begins from the first day we hear till we go back to Godhead. And in between there is one milestone, which is the ceremony, where we formalize, we enter into an actual contract with the spiritual master. Now I have developed enough conviction and faith. Yes, I want to declare it to the world, in front of the deities, in front of Vaishnavas, I want to declare, you are my spiritual master and I will follow all your instructions without deviation. So we take a vow to follow the instructions of the spiritual master, and then when you take that kind of vow, Prabhupada also decides that your accumulated sinful reactions also I will take, and I will take it back to God. So in the whole process, that ceremony is also one important milestone in that whole Diksha Vidhana process. Okay? Yes, please.
Like the general public on the cross platform, not very well versed in the philosophy. So when they see that one is there, they are attracted toward that. How they will know about the ethics, philosophy, and to follow the path.
How the common man who is attracted to ISKCON will know which is the right philosophy, whether this one or the unauthorized guru system.
They are hearing both the videos. So
They are seeing both the videos. So your question itself has the answer. Come and see, no. He knows that there are two groups, and that one group is saying Prabhupada is the Diksha Guru, another saying no, they are gurus. Yeah. So basically, when a person hears, he will, if he is sincere, Krishna will give him the intelligence to be convinced about the right path, and he will come to the right place. He will come to Prabhupada's ISKCON, where he can take Diksha from Prabhupada.
as a layman, you see the puja devotees practicing.
Yes.
Who is the genuine is not able to judge.
That he has to use his intelligence. As you yourself said, there are videos of both sides on the internet. He has to hear both of them, and he has to use his intelligence and understand which is the right one. That is the reason why we are having to put this on in the public forum. No? People ask why you are putting all this in the public forum. We have to do it. Otherwise, how will people know about what is the real thing? They will all get misled and end up in the wrong place. So therefore, we have to speak out.
Yeah, I mean, how 85-year-old Swamiji are calling like.
So for that, they will tell that there are so many sannyasis who are not fallen also.
No, but even one Guru, how can Guru is fallen? How can one Guru?
Correct, but the Gurus who have not fallen also. No? That Guru might have not have been qualified, but there are others who have not fallen. That means they are qualified.
When one Guru falls down, this entire process is questionable.
You cannot. Okay, you are saying like that. Then if the whole process is wrong, then every Guru should fall down. If the process is wrong, every Guru should fall down. No.
So how do we know inside what is going on? How it is going on? Inside is
So the fact is, you cannot prove or disprove the Guru system based simply on who is falling down. Of course, Siddhanta philosophy is Guru can never fall down. That is the reality.
But people look at one says he's very public, general. General public say one Guru falls down, people start getting to
Public wants to ignore the negative things and the positive things they want to appreciate.
Yes,
So, this one is doing very nicely.
correct.
That way, there will be so much good things that
So spiritual life is not based on sentiment. What I feel good, I will go and do that. So that day, if you want to feel good, you go to some resort, you go to some, Karmi place, they will have nice, they will give you good experience. So we are not coming here for comfort, to assuage our sentiments. If you come to spiritual life, you have to use intelligence. You are supposed to exercise your discrimination. Otherwise, in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada, how many places Prabhupada criticizes Mayavada philosophy? He can give a good, feel-good factor. No. If you want to follow Mayavada, good. If you don't want to follow Mayavada, good. Yatha tato. He could have said, no. Straight. Mayavada means Sarvanasha. That's all. So how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, all the acharyas have criticized Mayavada. Why? Because somebody takes up that path, it is assured that spiritually they will be finished. So they openly criticize. No, they did not hide behind doors. Let us have discussions with the Mayavadis and we will tell them they are wrong. No, openly in all their commentaries they have criticized. That is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's statement. Mayavadi Bhashya Sundali Hai Sarvanas. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also made open declaration. So when somebody is deviating, somebody is breaking the parampara by bringing in motivated, unscrupulous understandings and changing the understanding of the parampara itself. What constitutes parampara? Giving a totally new meaning to it, invented meaning. That it is a succession of Diksha and Siksha Gurus. Where is all this coming from? When somebody does this, do we keep quiet and have closed door meetings or we openly talk about the truth? So we, if you go in the footsteps of the previous acharyas, we have to expose these people. You understand? So we have to use our intelligence. We cannot take that excuse that I'm coming to feel good, so why all this and all this? You cannot take that argument. Spiritual life is not meant for that. Okay? Yes, please.
I have three short questions.
Yes.
First is, Krishna is telling Brahma that your pride will not be discovered during the investigation. Why is pride?
No pride will disturb you.
Why should pride disturb you?
So pride means basically what happens is, if you are proud of your knowledge, proud of your scholarship, proud of your material position, I am Brahma, I am so and so person. When time of destruction comes, what will happen? Fear, oh, my position is going away. What will happen next to me? If you are proud of your scholarship, oh, I am dying. What will happen to all my scholarship, my position, my prestige? Our minds will become bewildered. We will be subjected to fear. Is that okay?
Second is, the definition of the Bhagavad Gita. First verse Krishna talks about himself.
Yes. First two lines.
First two things. Then he talks about devotional service, how
Devotional service and devotees.
And why, and then Krishna gives the Bhakti Yoga.
Yes.
Once Krishna has given Bhakti Yoga, he started directing his disciples, devotees. And this darkness is already dispelled from their heart. The fourth verse Krishna is saying, "I have dispelled the darkness." It should have been the first verse. Then the later on he gives Bhakti. Why that's in the fourth verse?
So Krishna is explaining that when you engage in devotional service, if you engage in devotional service, even if you are not a pure devotee, Krishna will dispel the darkness in the heart. Otherwise, the question will come, you are saying Satatam Kirtanto and all these kind of things. If I do only Kirtan, then how will I get knowledge? How will I get Vairagya? In the heart. So if somebody is performing devotional service, but knowledge is not revealed in the heart, then that means he is not performing devotional service in the right way. That is what it means. Buddhi yoga means intelligence means knowledge only.
After that, Krishna is dissipating the darkness.
No, it's not after. Krishna is saying, if you engage in devotional service, then naturally this one will also get destroyed. So I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who know this perfectly engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their life related and become a pure devotee, you do devotional service. So the previous verse Krishna said, thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me, their lives are surrendered to me and they derive satisfaction and bliss and liking one another and conversion about me. How to come to that stage? How do you come to the stage of pure devotion? Krishna is saying, constantly devoted and worship me. That's all. The way to come to the stage of devotional service is to do devotional service. Bhaktya sanjataya bhaktya. Right? That is what the Srimad Bhagavatam says. That bhakti generates bhakti. What is that bhakti generates bhakti? Why the bhakti you follow, it will generate bhava bhakti. It will awaken bhava bhakti. So Krishna in the previous verse spoke of bhava bhakti and then these are all pure devotional service. How to come to that stage? Tesham satata yuktana bhajatam priti bhava. With love and devotion, we have to incessantly engage in devotional service to Krishna. Dadami buddhi yoganta. Yena mamapayamite. I will give them the understanding by which they can come to the platform of the pure devotees, which I have described in the previous verse. That's all. Devotional service is the means as well as the end. Okay.
Last question is, like Krishna Saraswati Thakur, he did not appoint an acharya.
Yes.
Neither he talked about the system.
Yeah.
He said himself that as an acharya will emerge on his own, which is Prabhupada.
Mm.
Prabhupada is the next acharya in this Bhagavatam.
Mm.
But all the godbrothers of Prabhupada, who got initiated by Krishna Saraswati Thakur, even they are disciples. They will not accept Prabhupada. They are in their own body of another. What will happen to them? Because they are not following what others are body of Vaishnavas are following. What is their what is their achieve?
How is it relevant to us? What are we going to gain by knowing that? That is between Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur and them. We are nobody to judge them. We are nobody to judge what is going to happen to them. Yes, correct.
He would have thought about what will happen to this disciple, their disciple.
So that is up to him, no? That is his job. That is not our job.
What can we derive out of that?
What we can derive, Prabhupada has already told us. That we should not follow that example. Same mistake may not happen in ISKCON. That everybody starts declaring themselves as Guru and Acharya. That already Prabhupada told. What we have to learn from that already Prabhupada has told. Therefore, we don't accept anybody as Guru and Acharya in ISKCON other than Prabhupada. So, that's what we have to learn from the example of the Gaudiya Math, history of Gaudiya Math. So Prabhupada has already told, no? We don't have to go beyond that.
What they are following Lord.
First of all, there is nothing called Guru Shishya Parampara. There is only Guru Parampara. You see how the conditioning is, how they drill it into your mind, Guru Shishya Parampara, Guru Shishya Parampara. Where did Prabhupada say Guru Shishya Parampara? Not even once. 0 times. You can search in the Vedas. I searched all it. 0 times. Then they say Shiksha Parampara. About says Shiksha Parampara. That also is 0. Prabhupada says Guru Parampara. Prabhupada says Acharya Sampradaya. Prabhupada says disciple succession. So what the Prabhupada cannot use? Why we have to invent something? Let's not do that. Okay? Number 1. Number 2, in the beginning, did you say that Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur did not appoint anyone? That's not fact, no? He appointed Prabhupada. Prabhupada says multiple places that Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur appointed him as the next Acharya.
He said that himself as an Acharya will emerge on his own. I mean, that will be a
No, he did not say he will emerge on his own. He said self-effulgent. He said, all my disciples, let them jointly conduct the mission under governing body commission. Self-effulgent Acharya will emerge. That does not mean that he did not say, I have not appointed anyone. He did not say that. Did Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur say, I have not appointed anyone as the next Acharya? He did not say that. Both are there. So what we have to understand is Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur appointed Srila Prabhupada, but he did not reveal it to the outside world. Why he did not reveal? We can speculate. We can speculate multiple things. One reason could be, of course, what I am speculating is practically worthless. But my opinion is very simple. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur already knew that his disciples were ambitious for position and property. That's why he told Prabhupada, soon there will be fire and Gaudiya. So, if he had told that Prabhupada is the Acharya, next Acharya, I am appointing him, they would not have agreed. Because Prabhupada was a Grihastha. And these were all big sannyasis. They would have said, we are so many years we are dedicated and you are making one Grihastha businessman as the next Acharya. They would have rebelled. So Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur did not want them to disobey him and go to hell for that. So he said, form a GBC and run. Eventually you will know who it is. Self-effulgent Acharya will emerge. Then they will not be able to deny. Because currently, Prabhupada had not manifested his power. So they would not they would not be ready to accept. What he can do? That would have been their response, which is an offense towards Prabhupada also, to Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur also. To save them from that offense, he did not name openly. Although it was already decided that he is going to be the next man. And actually, when Srila Prabhupada went and preached and made thousands of Westerners into disciples, even Gaudiya had to accept, yes, he is a bona fide acharya. Even they could not refuse. Correct. So they had to accept. They were not cooperating, that is there. That is envy, because of envy, they didn't want to cooperate, all that is there. They made so many comments, but they all knew he has done something which none of us do.
When he said make a GDC and run cooperate and run make a GDC, that means, I have to be the only acharya for all of you. That's what he meant. Because
No, that's not what he said. He said, we form a GBC and run it, self-effulgent acharya dilemmas. So
ideally, their as grand disciples should accept Prabhupada as spiritual master, and then they
we can speculate all that, but what is the point in speculating something which is not going to happen and which has not happened? So we leave all that aside. We follow current reality, we understand, and what all historically, a lot of things have happened. All those things cannot be rolled back, no. We cannot roll back time and say that, okay, we create such a situation where Gaudiya did not split and Prabhupada became the acharya. We cannot do all that. So, that's not relevant. We look at what is current reality. Current reality, Prabhupada formed his own organization. He became the acharya of that organization. He set up a system there where everybody can become his disciples. We follow.
But his hard work apparently went in vain, since Gaudiya was separated, and there was no.
That way, Krishna 5,000 years ago did all the hard work in teaching Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna to re-establish Dharma. Again, Dharma happened. So, that's the nature of the material world. We have to keep re-establishing Dharma. Krishna will come himself to re-establish Dharma. His incarnations will come to re-establish Dharma. Krishna's devotees, pure devotees will come as acharyas to re-establish Dharma. Again, Dharma will rise. That's the nature of the material world. Dharma. You establish something, it will decline. That's the force of Kala. That's the nature of the material world. The characteristic of the material world is anything you establish, it will decline. So, periodically, you have to keep re-establishing Dharma. So, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur also did. When it declined, Prabhupada took up the mantle and again re-established. So, this is how. And after Prabhupada's time, again, one bunch of people, they stood up and they created Adharma by saying that they are gurus. So again, Prabhupada is rectifying it. Prabhupada himself is rectifying it. That's the way the material works. Yes, please.
As we were discussing, Krishna is saying that as we continue to on the path of devotional service under the guidance of one of you,
Yes.
He will give us the means to understand Him and go back to what He go back to Him.
Yes. Dadami Bhakti Buddhiyodam Tapniyana Mahamudaya.
So how do we know that we have reached that stage where we can receive that means from Krishna again? How do we assess
That the Prabhupada mentions here, no? Prabhupada says directly, where is that? The purport Prabhupada says, one second. Here it is. Unto the devotees who are constantly engaged in the Lord's transcendental loving service, the Lord, out of His causeless mercy upon the devotee, gives direct instructions. So, that direct instruction will come when we are constantly engaged in Krishna's loving service. When we come to that stage, Krishna will give direct instructions himself as Paramatma, and Krishna will also give instructions through the bona fide spiritual master, our Guru, Srila Prabhupada. When Prabhupada is giving us instructions, those are direct instructions of Krishna only. When Prabhupada is saying, July 9th order Prabhupada is giving, in this way you are to take Diksha from me, I will be your Diksha Guru. That's a direct order coming from Krishna himself. So in our stage, direct order from Krishna is nothing but the order of our spiritual master. Eventually, when we become pure devotees, Krishna will directly speak to us. That stage will come. come. That automatically will come whenever it comes. When we are purified completely, when we are beyond the influence of Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Mada, Moha, Matsarya, all these things. We are situated on the position of pure love. We are free from all offenses. Then Krishna will start speaking to us and we'll be able to hear. It's not that Krishna will not speak to us now. Even if Krishna speaks to us now, we cannot hear. Because our material senses are contaminated due to the bodily concept of life. So, Krishna speaks through spiritual master, through the Guru. Okay?
Guru is the eternal spiritual master.
Yes.
Krishna should directly speak for himself.
Yes.
Should not he always speak through?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. When we say spiritual master is eternal, when we go back to the spiritual world, Prabhupada will still be there to mentor us, to guide us in the service of Krishna.
Exactly, will receive Krishna's instruction through Guru always.
Not necessarily. Like Krishna, he takes service from all the gopis. All the gopis are directed by Radharani. But during the Rasa dance, Krishna directly dances with all the gopis. Otherwise, they are all assisting Radharani.
That is in the spiritual world. What about in material?
I am talking of the spiritual world.
I'm asking material world.
Material world.
Krishna directly gives instructions will always get through.
Prabhupada says when a devotee follows the path of devotional service, then what happens in the beginning? Ado Shraddha Tada Sadhu Sangha Tato Bhajana Kriya Anartha Nivriti Syat Tato Nishta Ruchis Tataha. When you come to the stage of Ruchi, we will be able to hear Paramatma speaking to us. So Prabhupada is saying here also, unto the devotees who are constantly engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord out of His causeless mercy upon the devotee gives direct instructions. That means Krishna directly also will give. So when we come to the stage of Raga Bhakti, when we come to the stage of Ruchi, then we will be able to hear Paramatma speaking to us. We can get direct instructions from him also, Guru also, Prabhupada also will directly give us instructions, we will be able to hear it. Then we come to the stage of Asakti and then we come to the stage of Bhava. When we come to the stage of Bhava Bhakti, when we chant Krishna's holy name, we will see all of Krishna's pastimes like a television in our heart. And then we come to the stage of Krishna Prema. When we come to the stage of Krishna Prema, we will stand in front of God Nitya will speak to us, and we will speak to them like you and I are speaking to each other.
One may get proud that now I'm receiving instruction directly from Krishna.
If you become proud that you are receiving direct instruction from Krishna, like Krishna left all the gopis and went away from the rasa dance, he will leave us. Then he will start speaking to us, he will not be visible to us, then we will start crying and repent, then Krishna will again come back.
That's his pride will not come.
Pride will not come.
That is some way think that Guru is not required. Now I'm directly.
Then you are finished, you will be back here. Then we can again meet here.
There is a question of pride and of Krishna directly speaking. That will cause under pride, I think. Krishna is directly speaking to you and why is the question of material pride?
Correct.
And Leela, another Gita was there.
Correct. But sometimes some little pride will come.
Even Rukmini was got.
That oh, Krishna is directly talking to me, I am very fortunate.
Rukmini was.
Immediately Krishna will stop talking, then we will come back to our senses.
For such devotees, Krishna is the Lord and Krishna is the Guru. Like he spoke all the gopis, Arjuna.
Krishna is the Guru for everyone. He is the Adi Guru. He is the Guru within the heart. So that is why the Bhagavatam also says, Acharya Chaitya Vabhusha. So the Krishna acts as the Guru from within, as Paramatma, and also externally as the external Guru as well as internally as the Chaitya Guru. Both. They are not different. Even Prabhupada is not different from Krishna in that sense. He is performing, he is representing Krishna only as the Guru. So therefore, whether you receive instructions from Prabhupada or from Krishna directly, it is the same. Whatever Prabhupada is instructing is the direct instruction of Krishna. So, yes, please.
What is the significance of personalities that are coming to the mentioned that Parampara is about conclusions?
Yeah. There are personalities also, right? So why if disciplic succession or Guru Parampara is the actually disciplic conclusion, then why do we have Parampara of personalities? Is that the question?
Question, like part of the question is this.
Okay, let me answer that. So the answer is, Prabhupada says, the Guru Parampara constitutes eminent acharyas who have passed on the disciplic conclusion as it is without any change. Just like whenever the disciplic conclusion is lost, Krishna will come and he will re-establish. Similarly, the acharyas also, whenever the conclusion is getting lost or changed or distorted, then the acharya will come and he will present it again, as it was presented by the predecessor spiritual master. So therefore, you need people. Krishna also gave the Bhagavad Gita as the person. Krishna, the person, only gave the Bhagavad Gita. No? That is, he re-established the Parampara by giving the knowledge to Arjuna. So it did not happen impersonally. It happened. Re-establishing the Parampara, whenever it gets distorted or broken, happens through a person only. And whoever such a person is, becomes one of the people in the Parampara. Is that clear? Okay. What was the other part?
Yeah, that part was that is one of the role of such personalities is to carry forward such conclusions according to the right place.
Carry forward what?
The conclusions of the world.
That's what an acharya is supposed to do. He is supposed to present the conclusion as it is, which is what Prabhupada has done. So Prabhupada, if you read Prabhupada's books, you will get the disciplic conclusion without any change. The original, whatever Krishna wants to convey, we will be able to hear. Right? Yes or no? So that means Prabhupada is presenting the original disciplic conclusion as it is.
In addition to this thought came in my mind because Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he's the father of Bhaktivedanta.
So
Like, it is apparent that the conclusion is still there, but still another personality is added.
yeah.
So why is that? Is it because he had to
So,
take forward?
Bhaktivinoda Thakur was also there. Simultaneously, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was also there. Same time, Gaudeshwar Das Babaji Maharaj was also there. Same time, Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj was also there. Correct? So, that way, if you see that Krishna said Parampara is lost in the second verse of the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Vyasadeva was also there. But still, Krishna said the Parampara is lost. Why? Because the masses of the people did not know. They had forgotten. The other people have become so prominent. The unscrupulous commentators have become so prominent that whatever Vyasadeva was trying to describe, that was also getting submerged. So Krishna said, I myself will give. And then when Vyasadeva repeated that, he put it down in the Bhagavad Gita and all that, then people accept. Oh, Krishna has said, then we will accept. So this conclusion came back. Similarly, so the point is that when an acharya is present, just because by his physical presence, it doesn't mean Parampara is present. Understand? Physical presence is not the point. Point is whether commonly everybody is able to access the Paramparic conclusion easily or not. So during the time of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Gaudeshwar Das Babaji Maharaj, Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, when all these personalities were present, simultaneously there were many things which are hampering the access to the Paramparic conclusion. One was people denying the existence of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, saying that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is all a story, he was never a real personality. Another is all the Sahajiyas. They were making Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy to a cheap philosophy, saying that we have to develop Parakya Rasa. So, a man and a woman will have an illicit relationship and say we are developing Parakya Rasa. This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy. They reduced it to that. Then there were people who are born in Brahmana family saying, if you have to be a Brahmana, you must be born in a Brahmana family. Then there were the caste Goswamis who said, we are Goswamis because we are born in the family of Goswamis. So there were multiple things which were covering the Paramparic understanding. So Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, what he did, he pointed out this is the place where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. So nobody can contest now that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not appear. He was not a personality, it is some story. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami wrote a novel called Chaitanya Charitamrita. It is just a novel. No, you cannot say. He is the real personality. The place where he appeared exists. Gauravir Bhumes Nirdesh Tatvam. That is the pranam mantra for Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj. Similarly, Bhaktivinoda Thakur demolished all the Sahajiyas. We all know his famous pastime. The most famous pastime of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is what? It is his chastising that person was claiming to an incarnation of Vishnu, and he used to have Ras Leela with all the women in the village. So he, through his writings, through his actions, Bhaktivinoda Thakur demolished the Sahajiyas. He exposed them that these are not real followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur presented the real teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Bengali so that all the common people could understand this is real Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy. These Sahajiyas are not original people. So people's understanding changed after that. These are all historical things. People had lost the respect. Respectable people in the society, they all thought Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy is all useless. It is very nasty philosophy, they used to think. Bhaktivinoda Thakur's writings changed that perception. No, there is philosophical in-depth. All these Sahajiyas are not real followers. So he did that. And Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Simha Guru, he demolished the caste Goswamis and caste Brahmanas. He established through his discourses, through his debates and all that. These are all established facts. He was the one who debated with all these scholars and established that one becomes a Brahmana or a Goswami not by caste or birth in a particular family, but by qualification. So because all these personalities did all these things, and Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj, he demonstrated what is real Vairagya. Real Vairagya is not running after some name, fame and followers. He said, I will not have any disciple. I will go and sit near a toilet and chant. So he refused to have any followers. So real Vairagya means you have to be beyond, you have to look, you should not hanker for followers, puja, pratishtha, baba, jana. So Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj established what is the standard of Vairagya. Now all these personalities, when they had put in all these things, it was ready, the platform was ready for Srila Prabhupada to come and launch the movement of ISKCON. So they made the world ready for Srila Prabhupada to be able to receive Prabhupada's instructions. So therefore they were all required. Okay? Parampara is not preaching to the masses, conclusion to the masses. We have to reach the message to everyone. That is how Prabhupada published and distributed books so widely. And Prabhupada had his books translated into every language possible, so that common people could easily access the Parampara conclusion. So we have to distribute more of Prabhupada's books. We have to bring people to Prabhupada and make them surrender to Prabhupada. Then they are all connected to the Parampara. In that sense, preaching, yes, but not independently. Not that we preach on our own, no. We bring people to Prabhupada and distribute Prabhupada. That kind of preaching we have. Yes.
Krishna, he spoke to Rajarshis.
Yes.
Now knowledge was possible. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he preached to the general masses. Which is the most practical process in the
Yes, Krishna spoke to Rajarshis, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spoke to masses. Because Krishna was speaking during the time of monarchy. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also spoke during the time of monarchy, but then he is Krishna himself. He knows future is going to be democracy. So democracy means you preach to a king, by the time you make him a devotee, already his term is over. Next election he will not win. Then next person you have to start preaching. It's endless. So instead you preach to the masses, they will elect a devotee as the leader. Okay. So that's the process. In Kali Yuga, we have to preach to the masses. And of course, leaders also, not that we neglect the leaders or something. But the strategy is different. Yes. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu preached to Ramananda Raya, Sudavarna, the Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami were ministers. Prataparudra was a king. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu preached to even elite class also, but he was preaching more among the common masses of people. Largely, but he also spoke to the Rajarshis also, in that sense. Yes, that is also there. Both are there. Basically, to the important people, to the eminent people, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spoke philosophy. To the common masses, he simply engaged with insanity. This was his strategy. Alright, we'll start with Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari.